It's Sean, back with another one. I'm reacting to every skate part I've ever filmed going back to 1997, and this is part 7 in the series. So if you want to get caught up with my past skate part reaction videos, check the playlist. And at this point, this brings us up to 2007, 2008, and this is going to be Cactus Skate Shop from Springfield, Oregon, their first video. There's this dude in Springfield, Oregon, Redneck, shout out to Redneck. Awesome guy, and he single-handedly carried skateboarding, the culture, and the scene on his back when it comes to Springfield, Oregon, back in these days. I'm not sure how long the shop ran for, but this was kind of, I would say, its peak heyday, 2007 to 2009 or something like that. And if I look or sound tired in this video, it's because I just woke up from a nap, so I'll do my best here. We'll get through it. Redneck, I can just tell. I mean, we never had specific talks about this, but I can tell that guy is all about the culture. He was like the most wholesome dude, and it was not about him. It was not about profit. Like, I can really tell he was putting love into it, and he was trying to give back to skateboarding, which had given him a lot, and give back to the kids and be a role model for the younger kids. And that's, in my mind, largely what the skate shop was about in Springfield. I mean, I know he was trying to make a living and stuff too, and it's not easy to run a shop at all. But he's just the raddest dude. Like, I know that wasn't the main point. Like, he wanted to support kids, put kids on, get hook up decks, flow shoes if he could, and get videos going. And so he had a team. Is all really the young guys, like the generation coming up after me, Chris Fisher and Evan, and maybe like James Cisneros and Rippers, a bunch of younger Rippers. Basically all the best young kids that were skateboarding out of Springfield. And then there was a dude, Rob Boyer, who messed with videos and editing, so he pulled the video together for Cactus. So I was like kind of in the mix still. I wasn't skating very much during these years, and that was mostly my own fault. I had made up my mind that like I was washed and I was done with being a good skater. So I wasn't planning on creating a part. I wasn't trying to get a part. But at some point, Rob or Redneck reached out and probably was like, hey, you want to be in the homies section? Like, just turn in whatever clips. And that younger spark in me, I couldn't let it go. The skate scene and being in videos and getting tricks. So I pulled together just random homie cam tricks that I had over the last year. And like literally, this is all the clips I got in practically 2 years. Like that's how much I was not skating. I was like really not skating at all. Now, a lot of these parts in the series, if you tune in for these, a lot of them are really heavy on the skateboarding. Like I was just like so focused on the skate side and the trick side. And then there's like a dash of biographical backstories behind it. This one's going to be more on the biographical side. Because this one's a bit of an anomaly. This is going to be the shortest skate part in the whole series. I almost didn't cover it because it just is so different from all the other parts I had. But I figured I would throw it in because of the biographical background involved. And for the younger kids, maybe like there's something you'll relate to in it. And if not, it'll just add depth to the story that I'm telling here. And once again, I apologize for the resolution. This is I just was not able to find the file. It's like maybe a minute long of footage, hardly anything. And I'll walk through the tricks, but generally what I do in this series is I give backstory and context that brings more life to the clips. And then I kind of do a quick little breakdown. This one's so quick that there won't be a lot to it. So all those other parts I filmed from 1996 to 2006, for 10 years, the trajectory of my skate ability and where I was going with skating and what I was building on skating was like this. It was just up and up and up and up. I just got better and better at skating every month, up and up and up, enjoying it more, getting more props for it, being in more videos, better and better talent at skating, just up and up and up. And this is a main thing that's always kept me interested in skating for so long is there's so much to it. Like, you're not going to master it in 1 year or even 5 years, and you're not even going to master it in 10 years. Like, You could decide to spend your lifetime on it if that's what you wanted to spend it on. And you're probably there's still gonna be aspects of skateboarding you could tune up and get better at. And you already know that if you're watching this. I mean, Tony Hawk still skates sometimes at, in his 50s. And so right at this time, right after that last part we reviewed, so like 2000, end of 2006, that straight up rocket ship growth trajectory hit a peak, and it was like very obvious. And I mentioned that I had 3 jobs and was doing computer science in university full time, and I had a girlfriend and was playing in a band, playing shows, doing band practice. I was hinting at in the last one that this is too much for anybody, and I was neglecting to take care of myself. And I thought I was invincible. And you find this with a lot of rock stars and partiers and skater rock stars and people. Like, when people live these extreme kind of lifestyles, you think it's okay. Like, everything seems fine. Like, you just keep doing what you've always done. It seems fine until it's not. And like, one day it's not fine. Like, one day you have a breakdown and you realize you can't keep going so hard in life. You can't just rage 24/7 and neglect taking care of yourself. And a lot of that is only possible because of your youth, because you're in your teens and your 20s. If a person in their 40s tried to live some of the lifestyle that rock stars live, like, most people are mortal, would not make it through a lot of this kind of lifestyle stuff. And I didn't have like a whole lot of guidance in my life. I was someone who had to kind of learn everything the hard way, I feel like. And if I did get advice, I wasn't open to it probably from adults. I just kind of had the Gen X rebellious kind of nature. And so I had to like learn things the hard way. And so 2007 was the year that it came crashing down. I went from this confident kid who had never experienced really a day of, I had dabbled in depression, but it would always pass. And I knew that was normal for teenagers and people in their 20s. I knew depression was kind of a normal thing you got to deal with sometimes. But like serious like anxiety disorders and panic disorders and depression, like dark depression, I had never really been there before in life. And so I would have been 2007 here. So I would have been about 25. I was like 25 coming up on 26 during this part. It kind of all hit at once. I graduated college, immediately tried my hardest to get a job. I got basically the best entry level software engineering job I could find in Eugene, Oregon, at least. And it was a $45,000 salary. I did have my own office, and I'm not even going to mention the company name because it's like long closed down and forgotten, but it was the number 2 competitor to Amazon. It's not important to get into that. Basically, 6 months after you graduate college, they start hitting you up to start repaying your student loans. And student loans plus the 3 jobs was how I got through college. The 3 part-time jobs basically just paid for like my gas and bills and food and rent. And then the student loans basically paid for college and the college expenses. And from all those things combined, I was like just barely able to do it on a shoestring poverty budget. I mean, I had to like skip meals sometimes in college because of like my budget. It was extremely tight, and it feels like a miracle that I even like made it through. But somehow I made it through. And within 6 months, when you get out, they start sending you those bills. You can file for forbearance and financial hard times, but that lasts like 6 months, maybe a maximum of 12 when you use that, and then they never let you use it ever again. And they're just like on your ass. They'll add fees for not paying. They'll send it to collections. So I got this job, $45,000 at the time, an intro level software engineer job. It should have been more like $60,000, but Eugene was kind of like small time back in the day, and 45 was kind of the best I could do, and that's like with a college degree. And it basically wasn't cutting it. I was even still doing that restaurant delivery driving sometimes, and So on my salary, I was able to like pay rent and my bills. And then whatever I had left over was basically going to the student loans. And then the company basically folded. We basically got beat out by Amazon because we were an early competitor in like marketplace sales, and we were VC funded startup, and that eventually just folded to Amazon. They were playing the same game better than we could do. I lost my job, and then there was the 2008 financial crisis was in the mix here too, and when I was going to get a new job, it was during that, and like that was extremely rough and challenging. Like it was as rough as the tech job market is today at the time of filming this, which is like we're going through an extreme rough patch of hiring right now. There's like a tech job collapse going on right now. It was kind of the same thing in 2008, and so when I had to settle for the next job I could find, it was like a step down in salary. It was like a harder job, a worse boss, and a step down in salary. In the midst of all of this, amongst all this going on, my best friend from growing up, Jared Wilcutt, I lost him to suicide, and I had never been through something like that before. I had never had someone so close die, and that was like so difficult. It just like rattled me to my core. I like like you never get over it. Like any of you who have lost somebody, family members or loved ones, like they say, like you never do get over it. You just learn how to carry on. It just fucking sucks. Like so for in the aftermath of that, I really had a emotional breakdown about it. I didn't know how to cope with it, and at this time, there was no TikTok, there was no Instagram, YouTube was like barely a thing, and discussions of like mental health, like it's so commonplace now that to just like casually talk to your friends and family and on YouTube about like mental health and getting mental health advice and being aware of it. But I'm telling you, if you lived through this time, that was not, if you grew up in the 90s and then in these early 2000s, like that was not a regular part of the culture, like especially for men. Like you didn't really talk about that. People knew. I mean, there was like depression and stuff, and you could tell your friends that you're feeling kind of depressed or whatever, but no one was like seriously thinking about talking about mental health in my generation in the open. And I couldn't afford counseling or therapy. That was just like out of the question. Like I was just like barely making ends meet at all. And then I might have been able to handle it if like my financial life was better, and I had a better sense of security, and I wasn't living such a lifestyle where I thought I was Superman, and I thought I was invincible, and I thought I could just do everything. I thought I was going to be a dope photographer and a dope skater and work full time, and I was going to play in a band and just doing everything at once. And as an adult now and stuff, it's like so obvious. If I had been there to talk to my old self in this video and coach myself, like it's so obvious, like, dude, you need to fucking take care of yourself. You need to take time for self-care. You need to take your mental health seriously. And I just had this rebellious attitude, like, well, I've always been Superman. I've always done everything. I've always been confident. I've always tackled any challenge. Like, I don't see what the problem is. I'll just keep grinding. I'll just keep going. But like shit was not okay in my life. Like every one of these clips here, I am like a shell of a person in every one of these clips. I'm in like a fog of depression and anxiety. There was like a 6-month period, like I literally practically didn't leave my house. I just had like panic attacks. I was just like in my house having anxiety when I wasn't at my programming job. And I just like felt fucking terrible, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. I didn't know because it wasn't an open discussion in the world at the time. Like I didn't know that mental health could bring you that far down and make you feel that way. I had always just been confident and like positive. And I didn't know depression, how heavy it can get. I'd been around people who suffered like clinical depression before, but I never understood. I kind of just thought, I don't know, I kind of thought that you could just fix it. You could just decide to like not be depressed, and that used to work for me or whatever, but it like wasn't working anymore. I didn't know that like mental health and depression could like impact your physical well-being. Like if all you're doing is not eating well and not sleeping and not doing anything, not exercising, like your physical health will go to shit. You'll feel so terrible. I mean, I was like having to face the fact of that and come to terms with that for the first time. And it honestly like never crossed my mind. I thought like life was just kind of an endless party and you just go get gnarly and get clips and hang out with friends and play music, and I just thought you like you work your job and then try to have as much fun as you can to like deal with how shitty the world is. That was kind of my outlook before. And um and this was just a time of being thrown into like the real world, the real fucking world. Like nobody gives a shit about you out there in the real adult world, in the professional world, when you're joining the workforce. Nobody gives a fuck. You are not entitled to anything. Nobody's got your back. There's no social safety net. Healthcare is inaccessible in this country. If you need counseling or something, like you're extremely lucky if you have health insurance that covers that, or if you have some affordable community free option for counseling. That's like extremely rare in this country if you're watching from another country. And look at that posture right there. So that's the main story of this video. I hate to be a Debbie Downer, that it's not so much about the skateboarding, but this is like a snapshot of a biographical time. And even down to my clothes that I'm wearing. Like if you saw my older parts, there's been commentary every time here about my outfits. And in this one, I just started wearing like plain gray shirts and plain black shirts. Like I used to wear flamboyant, like bright colors and like draw a lot of attention to myself. And I felt so shitty and depressed. And I was having such anxiety disorder. I just wanted to like disappear. Like I didn't even want to exist, or like that's why I didn't leave my house. I didn't want to like see people in the skate scene. I didn't want people to see me depressed. I didn't want to do anything. I wanted to just like not exist. I've never been suicidal, so don't worry about that. I wasn't suicidal, but just a feeling of like non-existence. So even these clothes that I'm wearing are just like the most minimal, like plain, like wanting to blend in and not be seen. And black shoes, dark pants, dark hat, gray shirt. I had this feeling of despair that was like, I saw like no way out. I was like, there's no better jobs for me. Like I've explored every company I can work for in my hometown here in Eugene. Like I'm gonna have to leave my hometown. I'm gonna have to like leave everyone I love. And even then the pay is like I went to college with the thought that like I was going to be financially secure after that. I thought it was going to be a done deal. You just go to college, you get out, and you work hard at your job, and you keep your head down and work your job, and then you're able to like get ahead in life and like maybe eke out a middle class existence. That was why I struggled for all the years through college. That was why I worked 3 jobs. That was the promise of society and the expectation. And during this time, and then this was like the first year and a half out of college, just like coming face to face with like that's not fucking true at all. Like the whole economy can just collapse. Your friends can just die. Rents can just keep going up, and your intro wage is likely barely gonna get you by to just eat and pay the bills. And I wasn't ready to face that reality, and it just crashed down all at once. And so when I see footage from this era or photos of me from this era, like I'm not even thinking about the skateboarding so much. I like admitted myself to the ER for panic attacks a few times. I was having panic attacks just at mere existence and like the hopeless feeling of life. I was having panic attacks for like lasting like longer than a day, and just feeling like straight up like I was gonna die, and going to the ER and being like hooked up to like 12-point heart monitors and stuff. And so that's the story of this part. That's a super Debbie Downer story, but I think that a lot of younger men watch my content, and I think you can probably relate to some of the stuff I'm saying. And so part of my thought of sharing this is just like, dude, people have been there before you. Like, you're not the only one experiencing depression and anxiety and feeling like life is hopeless. Like, most older men have been there before. They've been through what you've been through. And I guess I'm just getting at, like, you shouldn't hesitate to seek help. You should try to get counseling. You should try to get therapy. You should try to talk to your friends and family about what's going on. At minimum, like, if I could, like I said, talk to myself in this clip, the main thing I would try to get across to my 25, 26-year-old self is that mental health is a real thing that really impacts your whole entire life and well-being, and you need to honor it as a real thing, and you need to start making choices in your life to fix it. It's not just gonna be napped away or like binge YouTube watched away. You need to monitor it and address it and work on it and improve it. So I've probably lost you all by now, but if any hardcore skaters are still here, just for the sake of tradition, we'll just like really briefly do a trick breakdown. Then I lived on 16th and Washington in Eugene, and this was just, or 16th and Jefferson, and this was just like 1 block away, 2 blocks away from my house. The spot, I always thought it was pretty dope. And I just improvised some tricks in a fog of depression. This day, I think I biked here from Eugene, Springfield Park, with my friend Brett. So I had this friend Brett who moved all the way across the country from Buffalo, New York. We met on the internet and we chatted about politics and atheism and philosophy and stuff. And he wanted to move all the way out because he felt like more like activism and stuff was going on in Eugene, which it was, than Buffalo. And he came all the way out. And I felt bad because, like I keep saying, I was a shell of a person. And I felt bad that I was like his one friend that he moved out here. He didn't move out for me, but that I was his one friend out here. And that I felt like when he got here that I was a fucking loser, worthless piece of shit during this time of my life. I just felt so broken. And if he had come 2 years earlier, I would have been lots of fun and a really cool dude to be friends with. But during this time, I just think I was a terrible boyfriend and terrible friend, and I was just a broken person and didn't know why or how to fix it. And it's cool that he ended up coming back to Buffalo, like after a bunch of years in Oregon, 10 years in Oregon or something. And it's awesome because I randomly ended up moving to Syracuse, New York. And so we're like back out in the same region of the country now. And that's just really come full circle. It was cool to him to come out here and experience this. And then now I've come out to New York and I understand a lot more about like his culture and background by living out here now. And we're still friends to this day. So he filmed these shots. Just did the depression kickflip layback first try. And then this is the one clip with Daniel Evans. So he had already moved on to Portland and he was filming like really good guys. He was just living in like skate houses with like AMs and I guess pros, but really good skate dudes. And he was fully in it, like because he's a few years younger than me. So I had like fully peaked a few years before in terms of like my passion and my ability for skateboarding and dedication. And so now it was a few years later, he was kind of coming into his own peaking now, I feel like, in terms of his dedication to being a skate filmer and a skater. And he was in it deep. Like I would go visit. This is from one of the visits to Portland, hang out with Daniel and other friends there. And he was, from my perspective, he can comment here and tell you otherwise, but he was like in a 24/7 skate lifestyle. Like the party just never stopped. They were filming and filming and filming like a motherfucker. And there's be like 50 skateboards in front of the front door leaning against the wall of the house, and that sort of scene out there. And he was about it. So On this visit here, we tried to film a quick line at the spot on Alberta, which later I would live right up the street from this. But we tried to film a quick line, and going into this, I was like, I switched on to like serious mode. I'm like, oh shit, I got like a good filmer. I got like Daniel here now. Like, I got to really like step up. I'm gonna do like my best like serious line. But it like fell apart because I was so depressed and out of practice. Like I just dragged. I couldn't get this long nollie tail. I was trying to nollie tail the whole thing, and I couldn't get it. And like my foot was dragging on the ground, and so I just like turned it into a joke and just started throwing out joke shit. And like I didn't have the switchback heel planned. I just threw it out, dragged my foot more, and so then I'm just going into joke mode. And I'm like, I fucking suck. This is all a joke. My life's a joke. I suck. Is like what I'm thinking. And so then Daniel goes into that mode, filming like that, and I just improvised all this. I didn't plan any of that. Just like, I'll just fucking run. Let's just jump off this shit into traffic or something. Not really, but couldn't even do that. So a complete run of fails, but it was funny, so I left it in. I thought it was funny at least. That's the video breakdown. It almost doesn't belong here in the series, but I thought it was an opportunity to tell you those stories. And if you're going through struggles and hard times, like, it's not hopeless. It's not complete doom. There's always a way out. You should try to talk to somebody. You should try to get help. Don't be suicidal, because it will devastate all the people who love you. All their lives will be fucking split apart if you think about suicide. So that's all I've got for you. The rest of the series, it's not going to be this downer. There's other downer parts, but we're gonna be back on top again, boys. Like, we're gonna get there. It's been a long road, and skateboarding was the constant throughout everything on the story. So please come back. It's not going to be as much of a downer, and have a good night. See ya.